Now, your host, Michael Cohen, with the Capital City Recap on more compelling talk radio, 1320 WILS.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Michael Cohen, producer Nick Oren. This is 1320 WILS. Chances are, whether you're in the car right now or at home, you're sitting. It's kind of scary to think just how much time all of us spend sitting. Studies are now finding that sitting itself is harmful to your health. Even if you exercise, scientists have determined that after an hour or more of sitting, the production of enzymes that burn fat in the body decline by as much as 90%. One man working against this trend is Steve Boardley. He's the founder of TrekDesk, a company he started after he himself found that sitting too much was impacting his own health. Find him online at TrekDesk.com. Steve, thanks for joining us on WILS.
Well, thank you, Michael. It's my pleasure.
I have to admit, I'm sitting right now. How about you?
No, I rarely sit. I sit maybe a little bit in the evenings, but I'm pretty much up and moving throughout the day.
I see. I'm jealous. I might. You know what? I'm going to stand up right now too. I'm going to join you here, at least not in being in the seated position. So, tell me, Steve, what exactly is a TrekDesk?
Well, there's 50 million existing treadmills in the United States that people buy for. Bought over the years, and most of them are collecting dust or they're being used to hang clothes. So TrekDesk was designed to be a full-height adjustable desk that would attach to those treadmills and let people walk slowly through the day and regain their health.
Now, you were working in the commercial real estate business, so what led you to start this company?
Well, it kind of came out of this necessity. I was out for a walk in the woods one day, and I was hit with a high caliber bullet. It's a very strange story, but I nearly lost my leg, and it took me about 2 years before I was mobile again because I was in a wheelchair for about 6 months, and then I was using a walker, then crutches, then a cane. So I went from being fit and active to somebody that was sedentary and really not able to move at all for about 2 years. So that's what really led to it, but it was a long process.
I need to stop for a moment and ask you, a high-caliber bullet, if you could tell me, how did you get hit with this bullet?
It's a good question. I never really got to ask the person the question because once I finally got out of the hospital, the person that was responsible for it, whether it was accidental or not, had actually been killed in a car crash. So it's a very strange, long, involved story, but it's one of those examples of you got to look for the silver lining in every cloud in your life, and this was certainly what led me on the path to seek some alternative means of exercise.
I'm talking to Steve Boardley, founder of TrekDesk. Find him online at TrekDesk.com, and we're talking about what are now turning out to be the dangers of sitting. In fact, I have to sit back down now. I'm getting a bit tired. So are you standing right now, or are you on a treadmill as we speak?
I'm actually using the TrekDesk with a treadmill right now as we speak.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of how you work and you're operating while you're walking, does it interfere in some ways if you're trying to type, things like that?
No, typing really is just as easy to do walking slowly. The one thing I want to stress, your average walking speed if you're going to the store or walking down the hall is about 3 miles an hour. When you're walking with a TrekDesk, you walk slowly, about 1 mile to 1.5. So typing, walking, everything's very simple. You know, people initially hear it and think, oh, they're going to sweat or they're going to sound out of breath. Well, you don't sweat or sound out of breath walking down the hall, and you're doing all these other things at about half that speed. Mm-hmm. So it's actually very easy to do. The one thing I will say is your penmanship, it'll look like you graduated from medical school if you try and write. That's difficult for me to do.
Tricky.
But typing's very simple.
It is becoming more of an issue. People are becoming aware of the problems of sitting for extended periods of time. How much growth and interest are you now seeing in the product itself?
Well, 4 years ago, I would have to say, when I first announced that I was to my friends and some business partners what I was going to do, I mean, I was met with more than just skepticism. I mean, they just started laughing. Now the science has really backed it up. They're equating the health hazards of sitting with that of smoking. And more Americans are being educated to this fact. So it's come a long way, and it's definitely increased in popularity by a factor, from a sales standpoint, by a factor of more than 10 over the last just 2 years.
Now, your desk then is designed to work around a treadmill, but do you typically even have desks where you stand at them? Do you find yourself trying to avoid sitting in general?
You know what's happening? The body kind of has an equilibrium point. We're designed to move. If you think about it from a logical standpoint, we've evolved over hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, really, to do one thing, and that's get up in the morning and get going. We weren't designed to sit, and we weren't designed to stand in one place. We were designed to move. So your body, as you slowly get into this, in a matter of months, you'll find that you crave movement, and you won't naturally think to sit down. It sounds strange, but it works. Now,
do you find yourself then more comfortable in a walking motion while you're at a desk rather than standing, let's say?
Yeah, I think if you ask any cashier or anybody in retail, how's it feel to stand there all day, they'll tell you their backs hurt. Their cab sees up on them. They get they have a number of health issues that are involved in that as well. But if you talk to somebody that walks all day, at a slow rate and not really overexerting themselves, that's the natural body state of the body. So they actually makes them feel better. I find at the end of the day, you're actually more energetic than when you started. It's movement. It's not really exercise the way we typically think of exercise.
Now, obviously, a table is a certain amount of cost, but a treadmill can be very expensive. Now that we begin to understand the importance of not sitting, how do you see this kind of a treadmill desk situation being incorporated in a business environment where, cost is so important?
Well, we have a lot of companies, including Fortune 500 companies, that have actually adopted using the TrekDesk. And for them, the return on investment comes through in a lot of different channels. First of all, their employees end up feeling better. They're healthier. They're happier. Productivity increases have actually been studied. And there's one out of the University of Illinois that found a 15% increase in cognitive abilities and memory. And coincidentally, there was a study out of Mayo that found the same 15% increase in productivity among certain work groups. So this is all in its infancy, but we already know that it increases productivity, it increases the happiness of the employees, and it helps prevent disease, and it helps them lose weight, all without taking out any time of the day.
How many miles do you find yourself walking then while you're at work?
Let's see. I walk anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day. And I'm walking 1.2 miles an hour on average. So that's 7.2 on the 6 and 9.6, so 7 to 10 miles. And some days, depending on how much work I have to do, it's even greater than that. Americans should strive for about 10,000 steps a day at a minimum, and that's 5 miles. But the average American, according to the University of Tennessee, is only getting about half that amount, which is one of the biggest problems we're having today in terms of health.
Is there a point during the day where you do recline, sit down on a lazy boy chair, maybe?
Yeah, I love the couch just as much as the next guy, especially if I'm watching a football game on the weekend. I mean, I'm not crazy about the application. I do it when I have to do work, and in the evening, after dinner, I'll walk around with my kids and do some things. But in the evening, we'll sit down and we'll watch some television. And, one thing that leaves you, though, is you don't feel guilty like you didn't get your exercise in because you know that you did the entire day.
Indeed. A minute left, but do you still exercise at all then, or is this pretty much it?
Well, because, I have to start this off. I used to be extremely active. I mean, I played lacrosse all the way up until that accident, which was right around when I was 40 years old. So I always have been extremely active. That accident, though, left me looking for new ways of staying active. So now I swim. So I do that and play with my kids. Mm-hmm. I don't really make it to the gym other than the swimming. I do some calisthenics, and that's about it.
Well, I guess you could just always crank up the treadmill just a little bit more and get the workout right there at the desk. It's another option.
You can do that. You could do that. Yeah. I know we have a lot of users that go a lot faster than I do. Frankly, I just do it for the slow movement, the gains there, and because I still suffer from some issues with the injury. Yeah. So I'm a little bit more careful.
So no riding, and probably you don't want to drink a hot cup of coffee while you're moving too quickly on that treadmill.
No, it does come with 2 cup holders, but we strongly advise you don't have hot beverages and you stay away from using sharp objects while you're walking.
Steve Boardley, founder of TrekDesk. Find him online at TrekDesk.com. Allows you to walk and work at the same time. Steve, thanks for joining us on WILS.
Thanks, Michael.